Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschachari Satarane Vanchakalpa Trubhischa Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. We offer obeisance to Rupa Goswami because he knows the mind of Lord Chaitanya, and of course we are Rupa Nugas. Srila Prabhupada, the perfect Rupa Nuga. So he's given us the message of Rupa Goswami in a way which we can easily digest it. Causeless mercy. So continuing with chapter 30 of the Nectar Devotion, and this chapter is called Further Features of Ecstatic Love for Krishna. This section is called Happiness. It is described in the Vishnu Purana that when Akrura just by seeing their faces, he became so cheerful that all over his body there were symptoms of ecstatic love. This state is called happiness. It is stated in the 10th canto, 33rd chapter, verse 11 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Upon seeing that Krishna's arm was placed on her shoulder, one of the gopis engaged in the rasa dance became so ecstatically happy that she kissed Krishna on his cheek. This is an instance of feeling happiness because of achieving a desired goal. Eagerness. In the 10th canto, 71st chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 33, it is said, when Krishna first came from his kingdom Dwarka to Indraprastha, the young females of the city became so eager to see him that even at night when they were lying down with their husbands, they could not restrain their eagerness. Even though they were not properly dressed and although their hair was loose, and there were many household duties to perform, they still gave up everything and went to the street to see Krishna. This is an instance of eagerness and ecstatic love. In his book, Stavavali, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami has prayed for the mercy of Radharani, who was so captivated by the flute vibrations of Krishna that she immediately asked information of his whereabouts from residents of the Vrindavan forest. Upon first seeing Krishna, she was filled with such ecstatic love and pleasure that she began to scratch her ears. The damsels of Vraja and Radharani were very expert in talking cunningly, so as soon as they saw Krishna, they began their talkings, and Krishna, pretending to go for some flowers for them, immediately left that place and entered into a mountain cave. This is another instance of eager loving exchanges on the parts of both the gopis and Krishna. Violence. When Krishna was fighting with his Kaliya snake by dancing on his heads, Kaliya bit Krishna on the leg. At that time, Garuda became infuriated and began to murmur. Krishna is so powerful that simply by his thundering voice, the wives of Kaliya have had miscarriages. Because my Lord has been insulted by this snake, I wish to devour him immediately, but I can't do so in the presence of my Lord, because he may become angry with me. This is an instance to act in ecstatic love as a result of dishonor to Krishna. When Shishupal objected to the worship of Krishna in the Rajasuya arena at the sacrifice organized by Maharaj Yudhishthira, Sahadev, the younger brother of Arjuna, said, "A person who cannot tolerate the worship of Krishna is my enemy and is possessed of demoniac nature. Therefore I wish to strike my left foot on his broad head just to punish him more strongly than the wand of Yamaraj." Then Baladev began to lament like this, "Oh, all auspiciousness to Lord Krishna. I am so surprised to see that the condemned descendants of the Kuru dynasty, who so unlawfully occupied the throne of the Kuru kingdom, are criticizing Krishna with diplomatic devices. This is intolerable." This is another instance of eagerness caused by dishonor to Krishna. Haughtiness resulting in dishonorable words. In Vidagdha Madhava Jalit-Jatila, the mother-in-law of Radharani, began to criticize Krishna in this way. Krishna, you are just standing here, and Radharani, who has just been married to my son, is also standing here. Now, I know both of you very well, so why should I not be very anxious to protect my daughter-in-law from your dancing eyes? This is an instance of dishonorable words used indirectly to criticize Krishna. Similarly, some of the gopis once began to address Krishna with these dishonorable words. My dear Krishna, you are a first-class thief, so please leave this place immediately. We know you love Chandravali more than us, but there is no use in praising her in our presence. Kindly do not contaminate the name of Radharani in this place. This is another instance of dishonorable words cast upon Krishna in ecstatic love. There's another statement in the 10th canto, 31st chapter, verse 16 of Srimad Bhagavatam, when all the gopis came out of their homes to meet Krishna in the Vrindavan forest. Krishna refused to accept them and asked them to go home, giving them some moral instruction. At that time the gopis spoke as follows. Dear Krishna, there is extreme distress in being out of your forest, and there is extreme happiness simply in seeing you. Therefore, we have all left our husbands, relatives, brothers, and friends, and have simply come to you, being captivated by the sound of your transcendental flute. O infallible one, you had better know the reason for our coming here. In plain words, we are here simply because we have been captivated by the sweet sound of your flute. We are all beautiful girls, and you are so foolish that you are rejecting our association. We do not know anyone other than yourself who would miss the opportunity to associate with young girls in the dead of night. This is another instance of indirect insults used against Krishna in ecstatic love. In the Padyavali, one of the friends of Radharani once addressed her thus, My dear friend, please do not be too puffed up because Krishna has decorated your forehead with his own hand. It may be that Krishna is yet attracted by some other beautiful girl. I see that the decoration on your forehead is very nicely made, so it appears that Krishna was not too disturbed in painting it. Otherwise, he could not have painted such exact lines. This is an instance of envy caused by Radha's good fortune. In the 10th canto, 13th chapter, 30th chapter, verse 30 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is the following statement. When the gopis were searching for Krishna and Radha before the rasa dance, they thus began to speak among themselves. We have seen the footprints of Krishna and Radha on the ground of Vrindavan, and they are giving us great pain, because although Krishna is everything to us, that girl is so cunning that she has taken him away alone and is enjoying his kissing without sharing him with us. This is another instance of envy of the good fortune of Srimati Radharani. Sometimes when the cowherd boys used to play in the forest of Vrindavan, Krishna would play on one side and Balaram would play on the other side. There would be competition and mock fighting between the two parties. And when Krishna's party was defeated by Balaram, the boys would say, if Balaram remains victorious, then who in the world can be weaker than ourselves? This is another instance of envy and ecstatic love. Impudence. In the 10th canto, 52nd chapter, verse 41 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Rukmini addresses Krishna in a letter as follows. My dear unconquerable Krishna, my marriage day is fixed for tomorrow. I request that you come to the city of Vidarbha without advertising yourself. Then have your soldiers and commanders suddenly surround and defeat all the strength of the king of Magadha, and by thus adopting this method of the demons, kidnap me and marry me. According to the Vedic system, there are 8 kinds of marriages, one of which is called Rakshasha. Vivaha. Rakshasa Vivaha refers to kidnapping a girl and marrying her by force. This is considered to be demoniac method. When Rukmini was going to be married to Shishupal by the choice of her elder brother, she wrote the above letter to Krishna requesting him to kidnap her. This is an instance of impudence and ecstatic love for Krishna. One of the gopis said, "May Krishna's sweet flute be washed away by the waves of the Jamuna and let it fall into the ocean." The sweet sound of that flute is so impudent that it makes us all lose our composure before our superior. Dizziness. Every evening at sunset, Krishna used to return from the pasturing ground and sometimes Mother Yasoda would not hear the sweet vibration of his flute, and she would become very anxious, and because of this she felt dizzy. Thus, dizziness caused by anxiety and ecstatic love for Krishna is also possible. When Yasoda had tied Krishna up, one time she began to think, Krishna's body is so soft and delicate, how could I have tied him with a rope? Thinking this, her brain became puzzled and she felt dizziness. Gopis were advised by their superiors to bolt the doors at night, but they were so carefree that they did not carry out this order very rigidly. Sometimes by thinking of Krishna, they became so confident of being out of all danger, they would lie down at night in the courtyard of their house. This is an instance of dizziness in ecstatic love due to natural affection for Krishna. Sleepiness. Hare Krishna. Once Lord Balaram began to talk in his sleep as followed. O lotus-eyed Krishna, your childhood adventures are manifest simply according to your own will. Therefore, please immediately dispose of the stubborn pride of this Kaliya serpent. By saying this, Lord Baladev astonished the assembly of the Yadus and made them laugh for some time. Then, yawning so hard as to make ripples in his abdomen, Lord Balaram, the bearer of the plough, returned to his sleep. This is an instance of sleepiness in ecstatic love. Alertness. A devotee once stated, I have already conquered the mode of ignorance, and I'm now on the platform of transcendental knowledge. Therefore, I shall be engaged only in searching after the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is an instance of alertness and ecstatic love. Transcendental alertness is possible when the illusory condition is completely overcome. At that stage, when in contact with any reaction of material elements, such as sound, smell, touch, and taste, the devotee realizes the transcendental presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this condition, the ecstatic symptoms, that is, standing of hair on the body, rolling of the eyeballs, and getting up from sleep, are persistently visible. When Srimati Radharani first saw Krishna, she suddenly became conscious of all transcendental happiness, and the functions of her different limbs were stunned. When Lalita, her constant companion, whispered into her ear the holy name of Krishna, Radharani immediately opened her eyes wide. This is an instance of alertness caused by hearing the sound of Krishna's name. One day, in a joking mood, Krishna informed Radharani, My dear Radharani, I am going to give up your company. Upon saying this, he immediately disappeared, and because of this, Radharani became so afflicted that the hue of her body changed, and she immediately fell down upon the ground of Vrindavan. She had practically stopped breathing, but when she smelled the fragrance of the flowers on the ground, she awoke in ecstasy and got up. This is an instance of transcendental alertness caused by smelling. When Krishna was touching the body of one gopi, the gopi addressed her companion thus, My dear friend, whose hand is this touching my body? I had become very afraid after seeing the dark forest on the bank of the Jamuna, and suddenly the touch of this hand has saved me from hysterical fits. This is an instance of alertness caused by touching. One of the gopis informed Krishna, "My dear Krishna, when you disappeared from the arena of the rasa dance, our most dear friend Radharani immediately fell on the ground and lost consciousness. But after this, when I offered her some of your chewed betel nut remnants, she immediately returned to consciousness with jubilant symptoms in her body. This is an instance of alertness caused by tasting." One night, Srimati Radharani was talking in a dream. "My dear Krishna," she said, "please do not play any more jokes on me. Please stop. And please don't touch my garments anymore. Otherwise I shall inform the elderly persons and I shall disclose all of your naughty behavior." While she was talking like this in a dream, she suddenly woke up and saw her superior standing before her. Thus Radharani became ashamed and bowed her head. This is an instance of alertness after awakening from sleep. There is another instance of this. A messenger from Krishna came to Srimati Radharani while she was sleeping, and Radharani immediately awakened. Similarly, when Krishna began to blow on his flute in the night, all the gopis, the beautiful daughters of the cowherd men, immediately got up from their sleep. There is a very rare comparison made in this connection. The lotus flower is sometimes surrounded by white swans and sometimes surrounded by black wasps who are collecting its honey. When there is a thundering in the sky, the swans go away, but the black wasps stay to enjoy the lotus flowers. The gopi's sleeping condition is compared to the white swans, and the sound of Krishna's flute is compared to a black wasp. When Krishna's flute sounded, the white swans, which represent the sleeping condition of the gopis, were immediately vanquished, and the black wasp sound of the flute began to enjoy the lotus flower of the gopis' beauty. 31. Chapter 31. Additional symptoms. All the previously mentioned 33 symptoms of ecstatic love are called vyabhichari, or disturbing. All these symptoms refer to apparently disturbed conditions, but even in such disturbed conditions, there is acute ecstatic love for Krishna. These symptoms, however, can be divided into three groups: first class, second class, and third class. There are many disturbing symptoms of ecstatic love, such as envy, anxiety, pride, jealousy, coming to a conclusion, cowardliness, forgiveness, impatience, hankering, regret, doubtfulness, and impudence. These are included in the 33 conditions of ecstatic love. Srila Rupa Goswami has very nicely analyzed the different kinds of disturbing symptoms, and although it is very difficult to find the exact English equivalents for many Sanskrit words used here, his analysis will now be presented. When one becomes malicious upon seeing another's advancement of life, a state of mind is generally called envy. When one becomes frightened at seeing a lightning bolt in the sky, that fearfulness brings on anxiety. Therefore, fearfulness and anxiety can be taken as one. One's desire to hide his real mentality is called avahita, or concealment, and a desire to exhibit superiority is called pride. Both of these may be classified under pretension. In a pretentious attitude, both avahita and pride are to be found. One's inability to tolerate the offense committed by another is called amarsha, and one's inability to tolerate the opulence of another is called jealousy. Jealousy and amarsha are both caused by intolerance. One's ability to establish the correct import of a word may be called conclusiveness, and before such a conclusive determination of import, there must be thoughtful consideration. Therefore, the act of consideration is present during the establishment of a conclusion. When one presents himself as ignorant, his attitude is called humility, and when there is an absence of enthusiasm, it is called cowardice. Therefore, in humility, there is sometimes cowardice also. When the mind is steadfast, it is called enduring. When one's ability to tolerate others' offenses is called endurance. Therefore, forgiveness and endurance can be synonymous. Anxiousness for time to pass is called impatience. And when one sees something wonderful, one is said to be struck with wonder. Impatience may be caused by being struck with wonder, and so impatient is being struck with wonder can be synonymous. When anxiety is in its dormant stage, it is called hankering. Therefore, anxiety and hankering can also be synonymous. When one becomes regretful for some offense, his feeling is called bashfulness. In this way, bashfulness and regret can be synonymous. Doubtfulness is one of the aspects of argument. After exhibiting impudence, one becomes restless. Therefore, restlessness and impudence can be synonymous. When all such symptoms are included in ecstatic love, they are called sanchari, or continuous existing ecstatic symptoms. All these symptoms are transcendental, and they are exhibited in different ways, acting and interacting under different conditions. They are like the reciprocation between love and lover and beloved. When a person is envious or defamed, there may be a change in the color of the body. This may be classified as vibhava, or sub-ecstasy. Sometimes illusion, collapse, and is considered to be vibhava. When there are many such symptoms, they can simply be grouped together under ecstatic love. Srila Rupa Goswami says that fright, sleep, fatigue, laziness, and madness of intoxication are sometimes grouped under continuous symptoms of ecstatic love, and they are due to a strong attraction. False argument, determination, steadiness, remembrance, joyfulness, ignorance, humility, and unconsciousness are also symptoms of ecstatic love. Dependence is also grouped under ecstatic love, and this can be divided into superior dependence and inferior dependence. The direct differentiation between superior and inferior dependence are ascertained by Rupa Goswami and will be presented in due course. One devotee explained, "I cannot see the district of Mathura, even though by simply hearing the name of Mathura, the hairs of my body are standing up. I cannot see the place. So what is the use of my eyes?" This statement reveals a strong anxiety to see the district of Mathura, resulting from strong attachment to Krishna. There is another instance of this strong attachment for Krishna expressed by Bhima when he began to murmur, "My arms are just like thunderbolts." But despite these arms, I could not smash Shishupal while he was blaspheming Krishna. Therefore, of what use are these strong arms? In this instance, Bhima was very angry, and being influenced his hopelessness began to cause for strong attachment to Krishna. This instance can be described as strong attachment for Krishna in anger. When Arjuna witnessed the universal form of Krishna, whose dazzling teeth were practically devouring the very existence of the universe, Arjuna's mouth became dried up. At that time he forgot himself and could not understand that he was Arjuna, Krishna's friend, although he was always dependent upon Krishna's mercy. This distance is an example of inferior dependence. Sometimes ghastly activities also support strong ecstatic love for Krishna. This state of mind is called ecstatic fearfulness under illusion. In the 10th canto, 23rd chapter, verse 40 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is the following statement by the Brahmanas who are performing sacrifices. "We have all been born into three advantageous conditions. We are in high Brahmin families. We have ceremoniously received the sacred thread, and we are properly initiated by a spiritual master. But alas, in spite of all these advantages, we are condemned. Even our observance of brahmacharya is condemned." The Brahmanas thus began to condemn their own activities. They realized that in spite of being so elevated by birth, education, and culture, they still were under the spell of the illusory energy. They also admitted that even great yogis who are not devotees of the Lord are covered by the influence of material energy. This kind of hopelessness felt by the Brahmins who were performing ritualistic ceremonies shows practically no attachment for Krishna. There is another hopelessness, however, which shows attachment for Krishna. When the bull demon attacked the damsels of Braj, they began to cry, "Dear Krishna, please save us. Now we are gone." This is hopelessness with attachment for Krishna. When the Keshi demon was assassinated by Krishna, Kamsa became hopeless. He said, "Keshi Daitya was as dear to me as my own son, my own life, but he has been killed by some cowherd boy who is crude, uneducated, and ignorant in fighting. Even though I have defeated the king of heaven without difficulty, I do not know the value of life." Because this hopelessness has a slight touch of attraction for Krishna, it is considered to be a reflection of ecstatic love and hopelessness. Kamsa once rebuked Akrura by saying, "You were such a fool that you were accepting a cowherd boy to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply because he has defeated some harmless water snake. The boy may have lifted one pebble called Govardhan Hill, but what is more surprising is that your statement that the boy is the personality of Godhead. This is an instance of maliciously opposing element caused by hopelessness and ecstatic love for Krishna. Ecstatic love. One devotee tried to console a kadamba tree where the tree was lamenting because Krishna had not touched even its shadow. The devotee said, "My dear kadamba tree, do not be worried. Just after defeating the Kaliya snake in the Jamuna River, Krishna will Garuda the eagle, the carrier of Vishnu, once said, 'Who can be more pure than I? Where is there a second bird like me, so able and competent? Krishna may not like me. He may not wish to join my party. Still he has to take advantage of my wings.' This is an instance of hopelessness. The symptoms of ecstatic love are sometimes grouped under four headings: generation, conjunction, aggregation, and satisfaction. Krishna once told Radharani, "My dear friend, when you tried to meet me alone in the morning, your friend Mekhala remained hungry with envy. Just look at her." When Krishna was joking with Radharani in this way, Radharani moved her beautiful eyebrows crossly. Rupa Goswami prays that everyone may become blessed with this movement of Srimati Radharani's eyebrows. This is an instance of generation of malice and ecstatic love for Krishna. One night, after the Putana demon had been killed, baby Krishna could be seen playing on her breast. Seeing this, Yasoda became stunned for some time. This is an example of a conjunction of various symptoms of ecstatic love. The conjunction can be auspicious or inauspicious. That the Putana demon had been killed was auspicious, but that Krishna was playing on her breast in the dead of night with no one to help him in case of trouble was inauspicious. Yasoda was caught between auspiciousness and inauspiciousness. After Krishna had just learned to walk, he was going in and out of the house very frequently. Yasoda became surprised and said, "This child is too restless and cannot be controlled. He is incessantly going about the neighborhood of Gokula, Vrindavan, and then he is coming back inside the house. I see that the child is very fearless, but in spite of his fearlessness, I am becoming more and more afraid of his falling into some danger." This again is an instance of a conjunction of two opposing elements. The child was very fearless. At the same time, Yasoda was becoming fearful of some danger. Here danger is the cause, and Yasoda's feelings are in conjunction, the two opposing symptoms. In other words, Yasoda was feeling both happiness and doubt, or growing fear. When Devaki, The mother of Krishna saw her son very jubilant in the presence of the wrestlers of Kamsa's arena. Two kinds of tears were simultaneously gliding down her cheeks. Sometimes her tears were warm and sometimes they were cold. This is an instance of the conjunction of jubilation and lamentation due to different causes of ecstatic love. Once when Srimati Radharani was standing on the bank of the Jamuna River in the forest of Vrindavan, she was attacked by Krishna, who was stronger than her. Although she externally expressed a disturbed mood at this incident, within herself she was smiling and feeling great satisfaction. Externally she moved her eyebrows and made a show of rejecting Krishna. In this mood Radharani looked very beautiful, and Srila Rupa Goswami glorifies her beauty. This is an instance of exhibiting varying feelings of ecstatic love, although the cause is only one, Krishna. Sometimes there were great festivals in the house of Nanda Maharaj, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan would assemble for these festivals. During one such festival, Srimati Radharani was seen wearing a golden necklace given to her by Krishna. This was immediately detected by Mother Yasoda as well as Radharani's mother, because the necklace was too long for Radharani's neck. At the same time, Radharani could see Krishna nearby as well as her own husband, Abhimanyu. So all these things combined to make Radharani feel very much ashamed, and with her face shriveled, she began to look very beautiful. In this case, there was a combination of bashfulness, anger, jubilation, and lamentation. This is an instance of the aggregate of symptoms of ecstatic love. Kamsa once said, "What harm can this boy do to me? He has no power." The next moment, Kamsa was informed that all his friends had been killed by the boy. Kamsa began to think, shall I go immediately and surrender to him? But how can a great warrior do that? The next moment he thought, why should I be afraid of him? Why should I be afraid? There are still so many wrestlers standing to support me. But the next moment he began to consider, the boy is certainly not common, because he has lifted Govardhan Hill with his left hand. So what can I do in this connection? Let me go to Vrindavan and inflict pain on all the residents there. Still I cannot even go out because my heart is trembling for fear of this boy. This condition of Kamsa's mind reveals an instance of pride, lamentation, humility, determination, remembrance, doubtfulness, anger, and fear. Wow. Actually, 8 different symptoms comprise the mental condition of Kamsa. This is another instance of an aggregate of symptoms in hopeless ecstatic love. One householder devotee once said, "My Lord, I am so wretched that these 2 eyes are never desiring to see the glorious city of Mathura. Therefore my eyes are actually condemned. I am nicely educated, but my education has simply been used for government service. I have not considered formidable time stronger than anything else, which creates and annihilates everything. To whom shall I leave all my wealth and fortune? I am becoming older and older. What shall I do? Shall I execute devotional service from here at home? This I cannot do because my mind is being attracted to the transcendental land of Vrindavan. This is an incidence of hopelessness, pride, doubt, patience, lamentation, determination, and eagerness, an aggregation of 7 different symptoms in ecstatic love for Krishna. There is a proverb in Sanskrit which says, disappointment gives rise to the greatest satisfaction. In other words, when one's sentiment or ambition becomes too great and is not fulfilled until after seemingly hopeless tribulation, that is taken as the greatest satisfaction. Once the coward boys in Vrindavan were vainly searching after Krishna for a long time, and for that reason their faces became blackened and their complexions appeared faded. Just then they could hear on the hill the faint vibration from Krishna's flute. Immediately all of them became very much gladdened. This is an instance of satisfaction in the midst of disappointment. Srila Rupa Goswami says that although he has no expert knowledge about the sounds and meanings and mellows or the symptoms of ecstatic love, he has tried to give some examples of different varieties of love for Krishna. He further states that the 33 disturbing symptoms of ecstatic love plus 8 other symptoms, all taken together, equal 41 primary symptoms of ecstatic love. These symptoms create transformations of bodily activities as well as movements of the senses. All of them can be accepted as different feelings of the heart. Sometimes some of the feelings are quite natural, sometimes they are just temporary appearances. These symptoms, which are very natural, always remain both within and without the devotee. As one can detect the color of a dye the cloth was soaked in by looking at the cloth, so simply by understanding the different signs of these symptomatic features, one can understand the actual position. In other words, attachment for Krishna is one, but because there exist different kinds of devotees, such attachment is manifested in many varieties. As clothing tinged red appears red, so the temporary appearance of certain type of feeling can be detected or observed by the ecstatic symptom. In fact, all the different humors and mellows of the devotees produce various specific feelings within the mind, and according to these differences, the symptoms of ecstatic love appear in different forms and degrees. If one's heart is highly elevated, grave, and magnanimous, or if one's heart is rough and crude, different symptoms of ecstatic love will appear, influenced by the condition of the heart. Actually, people cannot generally understand such different qualities of mentality, but when one's heart is very soft or gentle, these symptoms become very easily visible, and one can understand them very clearly. The heart of one who is highly elevated and grave is compared to gold. If one's heart is very soft and gentle, his heart is compared to a cotton swab. When there is an ecstatic sensation within the mind, the golden heart of grave heart is not agitated, but the soft heart immediately becomes agitated. To offer another example, a grave magnanimous heart is compared to a great city, and a soft heart to an insignificant cottage. There may be many lights or even great elephants in the big city, but no one will take particular notice of them. But when such lights or elephants are seen near a small cottage, everyone can distinctly point them out. A hard heart is compared to a lightning bolt, and gold to lac. The lightning bolt is very strong and never becomes soft. Similarly, the hearts of those who are engaged in severe austerities and penances do not become very easily softened. The golden heart becomes melted at high temperature, as in ecstatic love, and the lac heart is very easily melted in slight temperature. The soft heart is compared to butter and to nectar, and the condition of the mind is compared to sunshine. Even slight sunshine, softened-hearted persons become easily melted. Nectar, however, is seen by its nature always liquid, and the hearts of those who are in pure ecstatic love with Krishna are always liquefied, just like nectar. A pure devotee of Krishna is always specifically qualified with nectarine qualifications, and sometimes with qualifications of butter and honey. On the whole, the heart of any of the different conditions mentioned above can be melted under certain circumstances, just as a hard diamond is sometimes melted by a combination of certain chemicals. In the Dana Kali Komudi, it is stated, when love develops in the heart of a devotee, he cannot check the transformation of his sentiments. His heart is just like the ocean in the rising of the moon. When the ebb tide cannot be checked, immediately there is a movement of high waves. Although the natural state, the ocean, is always grave and unfathomable, when the moon rises, nothing can check the moon's agitation. Similarly, those who are pure devotees cannot on any account check the movement of their feelings within. That is the end of chapter 31. Thank you all very much. Let's see if